you like to watch Survivor and slog through the nadir, then season 40's awesomeness will make you wanna cheer. We're all just so excited to watch these winners play, but we're still lazy, so this podcast comes out on Friday. John will make some dumb jokes, and he likes to yell and scream, but now we're watching 20 winners play, and it feels like a dream. We'll spend the whole time freaking out and judging the best move, and anything that Tony does, you know that we'll approve. It's the Purple Rock Survivor podcast. Winners at War!
Welcome to the Purple Rock Survivor podcast. I am John. I'm joined by Andy, and this week we are talking episode 10 of Survivor, Winners at War, the loved ones visit. And in honor of this beloved Survivor tradition, I've invited my own loved one, my wife, to come and join us on the podcast. But she said no, so it's just me and Andy this week. Hi, Andy. How's it going?
That's good, because I'm like, oh man, he swerved me. I could give me a second. There's a bunch hanging out my door that I just pushed out the room. But yeah, no, we're doing well. The last thing anybody wants to know is that you are affected by
human emotion,
other human beings and stuff. Yeah, that's not right. We don't need that.
Yeah, no, I don't want to personify myself in any way. I'm just a random voice that people are listening to through their earbuds.
Yeah, who has time for the frivolousness of human life when we have a game show to discuss?
Exactly. So let's do that. Oh, wait. Right away, let's talk about the loved ones visit, because that's how the show opened this week.
You better be ready. It's coming for you. The fire is burning, and when this is through, one soul will survive. It's coming for you.
So first of all, did you enjoy it?
Hell yes, yes. I enjoyed it quite a bit. It moved me legitimately, like glassy-eyed moving me, and everybody are interested in different things. People are allowed to express their opinions, but man, I don't get people that didn't. I just don't get it.
I enjoyed, obviously it's not a thing they generally do to allow people to bring their kids out, but like you mentioned this last week, these are people that we've seen over the years, and so to see their families all coming out to greet them, and like this is a big historic season, this is a special moment. And so, you see Jeremy's entire squad come out, and it's just like tears and hugs, and like everything is so much emotion. And he's talking about his son that was born that we'd heard mentioned last time in Cambodia, and like Tony weeping like a baby, just like falling apart. Amazing. And Kim's got this whole brood. Like, it was great. It was nice to see all of these families of these people that we have watched over the years. We watched some of these people when they were like 20 something years old. Now they're all grown up. They got families. They got wife and kids, husband and kids, whatever it might be, or even just engaged to somebody like Sophie. That's interesting to me. I like getting the quick little glimpse into their lives.
Now, did you feel like it went too long? Because it was like basically half the episode.
It was very long. Yeah, I mean, I'm at least a little sympathetic to it, but I also don't know, like looking at it, what are you going to cut out? Because each individual that came out, it was maybe like a minute long. It wasn't like, beaten to death. We didn't get 5 minutes with just Tyson. It was, it's spread out like a minute each. And then also we had to go to Edge of Extinction. So yeah, it was going to take a long time.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest reason why this takes longer than any other loved ones visit is that there were 19 people.
So many.
Right? Like, not only, like, it's, for one, yes, of course, there's not usually 19 people left in the game, period. But also, like, they usually do this later in the season. So it's usually, like, 7 people or something, or, maybe 8 or, yeah. But, like, the survivors there were surprised. You could tell that it was like, now already, and that was a great move, especially because it's like I knew they were bringing out all the
Yeah,
families.
of course.
Like, it was not a shock to me that this was also happening at Edge of Extinction, and I think that was 100% the right call. And it's definitely, so yeah, that's why it was long. For me, I'm cool with it. I'm fine, because this is a once in 20-year moment. Yes, we lost some, back and forth that, like, why did, they flip this way and that way, and how they truly landed on voting out Jeremy or whatever, which, as we know, was meaningless. We lost some of that. But you know what? We're going to get, like, a lot more of that this season. We get that a lot in other seasons. Like, this is, I don't know, I can't do math, but what, the 2000th episode? Like, there's been thousands of episodes of Survivor. This
I think hundreds,
was a truly, well, it's been on for 20 years, yes. 13 episodes, 40 seasons? Mm-hmm. So yeah, still maybe not 1,000.
Not 1,000.
But a lot! A lot! This has only ever happened this once. I didn't feel like it was too long. I felt it was the right amount of time. You say everybody got their spotlight, but I still see on Twitter be like, Danny didn't get much time. It's like, she got a thing.
I mean, in general, the people on Edge got less time, which sort of makes sense.
Which was fair, I believe. Yeah. So for me, I think part of the disconnect of the way I see Survivor versus the way other people who, like, often disagree with my opinions, like, just on, like, a conceptual level. And then I was just thinking about that in relation to this, and I think where it comes to head with other things is I view Survivor largely the result of the people who compete in it. And I know, obviously, there are producers who, like, storyboard and plan things out and have influence as the game is going, including, the host / producer, which I know is, either he or production is to blame for all ills, or the editors. And again, I know the editors string together a story and are very instrumental in that, but still, for myself, I truly believe what we get as Survivor is more a result of the people who perform on Survivor, the people who are on camera. They decide what the rules of that season are going to be. Obviously the show has rules, but they decide what's important, the decisions that are made, which is why I'm more likely to blame the people on this show for when a season isn't going well than other people are more likely to blame the people who create the show. And you know what? Maybe I'm not right. I think I am, but it's possible that I'm not. And I think, part of that, by myself viewing that this show is the result of the actions of the people who compete on it, is why a scene like this, even though it took up a precious 30 minutes of TV, or whatever, 21 or however many it was really gratifying, because it's like a grace note for the people who are, like, many of them the most significant architects of the 20 years of this show. And I felt like they earned it.
Exactly.
I thought it was special to share in that moment with them. To see what their lives have become for the people who have been gone for a long time. But also just, like, you could get the sense for all of them that this was a special thing for them that they were getting to share with their families. Because Survivor is a very significant thing in their lives. It's significant for anybody who does on it. Most people don't get to be on TV. Most people don't get to fly around the world and have these weird adventures. And also, most people don't get a significant amount of their nest egg from TV, which all these people have, right?
And that is 100% why I enjoyed it, because it's like a lot of these people have been our fan favorites, our rooting interests over the years. And so it's nice to see them get a moment of happiness. I mean, we've seen a bunch of the people that we really like and that we root for take the L this season. It has been rough. But at the same time, like, you've seen some of the people that you love and to watch in this game succeed. So this is, again, just a nice moment to see, like, oh man, I really like this player. I'm so glad that they got this special moment after, being a part of this show that's run for 20 years. Like, that's a nice moment for all of us, not just the players. It's good to see them happy too, but it just felt like a celebration for all involved, and I was into it.
Yeah, and that's basically it. And, again, it's not just the ones that, like, have children. Obviously, children can often heighten the emotion of something. And that, of course, speaks to my own personal experience. But, like, I thought it was quite moving when Adam got to share that with his dad. And frankly, I kind of wish his brother was there too. And if it comes out later that they're like, nope, you only get one because you don't have kids, that'd be shitty. But we don't know that that's the case, you know. But yeah, this is a big thing, a big moment in his life, and they got to, you know, connect that way. Survivor is a big thing for them, and frankly, like, it's been a not insignificant thing for me, for anybody who's been watching it for a long time, and just having that moment that, yeah, it wasn't about the game. And I know for some people it's just like, I need to see them, you know, navigate fire tokens or whatever, but it's like, it was once. And I don't think it'll ever be again, because the logistics of having it, frankly, trying to top this it'd be tough. We said it at the beginning of the season, and I think people need to really keep stock every once in a while. Treat this like the finale of a series. And that's, you know, this was a moment. And often, like, long-running shows, especially, like, comedies, where a lot of the, like, thrust for it a long time is affection for the characters. Near the end, they'll, like, just do this kind of check-in, like, hey, remember how much we love these people? This is what's becoming of them. And that's what it felt like to me.
And we got to see the little Romblets. We saw all 4 of the Romber brood. So cute! You know, like, that was a special thing for Rob and Amber, who have obviously been very important to the Survivor franchise. But, like, the genuine moment at the end, the little stinger on the episode of Rob being like, hey, Jeff, and then all the Edge of Extinction people going up to give him a big hug. Like, that was, yes, a made-for-TV moment, but I think it was genuinely sincere. Like, I think they were all very happy that they got that moment. They knew they didn't, like, make the merge, they didn't get to the family visit, whatever it might have been, but they still got to have that moment, and they recognized, like, we didn't necessarily earn, quote-unquote, this, but this was nice that the show treated us with respect, and, like, it was a cool little family bonding thing.
Yeah, and for me, like, with, like, the people I'm closest to, the things that are, like, most important in my life, I like sharing it with them. And that's what this was, you know? It was like an experience to share with their loved ones. And yes, obviously there's been loved ones visits before, but what I liked about this one is I didn't do the fucking around of, all right, well, only 3 of you get to, you know, share this experience. And I'll be honest, that's also what I expected. I felt like the challenge setup, that's all bullshit. They're not going to rip children away for not winning it. Can you imagine, like, them trying to compete under that scenario? Like, all right, now mommy or daddy has to go roll a ball. And, like, for the people that don't have kids, like, yeah, I'm going to stomp to death in front of somebody's kid. I'm going to watch me make a bunch of kids cry. No, like, it just couldn't happen.
Props to Probst, though, for making the cute little dad joke to entertain the kids. Like, no, we're going to send them out there. You guys are just going to play in the sand. Yay! That was very cute. It was a very dad jokey move, and I enjoyed it.
But yeah, like, so I'm not going to deny that we lost something as a result. I mean, there's only 42 minutes to go, but to be honest, I don't know how much we actually lost. I feel like this was a chaotic episode, and what we lost was more of the chaos, but I don't know if there was going to be a lot of answers in this. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell just because we got to Tribal Council and clearly things were moving around. I think that they couldn't have necessarily had superset plans because, you know, once those plans got punched in the face at Tribal Council, they had to adjust on the fly. And, you know, they couldn't plan for all contingencies because they didn't know all the things that would come up. So, to some degree, you're not going to be able to spell out all the strategy prior to Tribal Council because some of it had to be crafted on the fly.
Yeah, and again, like, we maybe would have gotten more of a sense of, like, how does Nick or Michele feel about this, you know, configuration that each of them seem to be thrust into. Frankly, there's a big question of why did Michele do what she did? Maybe we would have gotten more. Like, I'm not denying that we would have gotten more, but, like, we got something pretty special. And it was a one-time thing. And frankly, it's probably best that we got it out of the way now versus later, because it was always going to be, like, 19 people unless somebody raised that flag. Frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody at this point is like, that's kind of what I was hanging on for.
That was my moment.
So, yeah, I don't know. And, like, I said this a bit last week, and I'll just say it again. If, even after this, after people you probably care about to some degree, if you're invested in the show, you see them, even after a world in which most of us are being kept from some people that are close in our lives, even if after that you're like, I don't get what the big deal is. I don't know. I mean, I guess shouts out to you. For me, when I don't personally like have the same experience as somebody else, I don't dismiss that as stupid and a waste of my time. I instead take it as a chance to, experience empathy. But I am capable of like seeing experiences on TV that don't like 100% match up to mine, yet still feeling like interest and compassion in them. It's weird,
It's wild. This is the first I've ever heard of such a thing happening. So congratulations to you.
And, like, I'm a white, like, middle-aged, cishet male. Like, I am used to most entertainment, like, being expressly for me. But every once in a while, something sneaks forward, and I don't be like, why are they showing this? I just feel like, hey, wow, look at that. A glimpse into other people's lives. Like, yeah, I get it. If you are not close with your family, if you don't have children, I get that it's not going to be the same for you. But one way to maybe get some understanding is to, like, watch things like this, see how it affects people, and maybe then not go on the internet being like, I don't understand why people get so teary about it. Well, given that almost everybody who's been through this experience does, maybe you need to accept that it's actually a perfectly natural reaction when, like, being separated from your loved ones and under situations of stress and deprivation to do what everybody on Survivor does. But nah, you could probably just also be like, oh, this is dumb and I don't get it, so it shouldn't exist.
I mean, in fairness, complaining about Survivor is like the go-to of the Survivor fandom. So whether it's this or any other point about Survivor, I don't know that there's that much distinction. Like, it's just kind of the default for a lot of fans.
Absolutely, it's true. It's just, I just love it. Like, now in 2020, there's still people who are like, "What's the big deal?" It's like, man, like, just have you met anybody? Anybody, a human, period? Like, people who get to, like, FaceTime or talk from the porch to from the sidewalk to, like, their parents will tell you how hard it is to not make a human connection. Yet there's still people out there being like, I don't get why being on an island and starving in a game where everybody's lying to you is so big a deal. Just see them when you get home. It's not a big deal.
All right, let's move on to some game talk now. We had a crazy tribal council. As you mentioned, we didn't necessarily get a whole lot of lead up to that tribal council, but what do you think took place there exactly? Because a lot of pieces were moving at once.
Yeah, and I mean, to be, like, understandably, part of the fun, I would say, like, there's a lot of speculation of why it happened the way it is, and a lot of ideas none of us know. I mean, frankly, that's probably the point most people are making of, like, why the edit was so poor, or they shouldn't have given us so much time. It's like, we don't know. I myself am more comfortable with not knowing things. Lots of experience doing it, I suppose. I think the most likely scenario of why it ended up being, what was it, 5 votes to 2 to 2?
Yep.
Is someone screwed up. I think that's the most likely scenario, is that someone who was supposed to vote for Denise voted for Tyson. And that's why we ended up where we were. And, like, it makes sense if someone screwed it up. They had minutes under, a very stressful situation with lots of moving pieces, doing something that, frankly, some of them be like, are we allowed to be hiding back here to do this? And, a lot of worry, things just changing. Yeah, it makes sense that somebody who thought they were supposed to vote for Tyson was actually supposed to vote for Denise. And I think that, more than anything, is what happened, why it was a 5-2-2.
It's entirely possible. I particularly enjoyed, and I'm guessing you did too, the standoff just before Let's Go Vote, where Jeremy and Sarah are just locked in this battle of like, okay, no, wait, I want you to pull your move first. I gotta see what yours is so I can know if I'm gonna respond. And just the back and forth of like, you gonna play? No. How about you? You gonna play? No, let's vote. Okay, wait, Jeff, no, we're not gonna vote. Like, that to me was some fun tension, and I respected both of them for trying it because you want the information of what the other person's going to do prior to making your own decision. But at a certain point, you have to just decide. And it was fun to watch them battle to see who was it was a nice game of chicken, right?
Yeah, and frankly, look, it's a microcosm for this game, right? You're trying to make the best decisions you can with incomplete and imperfect information, and thus waiting to get a little bit more to base your decision. But eventually, sometimes you can't. Sometimes you just gotta do.
Exactly. It was that same sort of thing where it's like, at a certain point, you've just gotta go head first and be like, screw it, I'm gonna accept the consequences if this is crazy. Like, the same thing as Adam last week, just going for the idol thing. Like, that was probably pretty crazy, but fuck it, you just gotta commit and go for it at that point. Same thing here. Like, shit, I'm going back and forth. What I should play my advantage? I just have to do it. Just do it.
And to, like, give you an idea, like, how easy it is to get confused in those scenarios, for me, it was like, I want Sarah to go first. Not because I'm rooting for her or her side, because it's like, then she'll waste her steal a vote, and then Jeremy should take off. Whereas if he takes off, there's no reason for her to play a steal a vote. When the math of the situation actually tells her it's him taking off that actually makes it better for her. But I wasn't even thinking of a 3-3-3 while it was happening. Frankly, when I was trying to figure out why there were 2 votes and what use would that be, I kept forgetting that Denise didn't have one. And I'm just watching it, you know? Like, so again, it makes sense while being there. Now, obviously, if you're being there, you may be more hyper aware that Denise doesn't have it because it was just stolen in front of you. But yeah, it makes sense that people can forget these things. They're not operating under top brain power, ever, but especially at the end of Tribal Council. So yeah, I was hoping, like, I thought it'd be best for Jeremy that if, you know, he can force Sarah to do something that then wouldn't, but yeah. I didn't even realize actually playing it before Jeremy leaves is what the least beneficial part. It's more just extra security.
Right. And what I enjoyed was once Sarah played it, I was like, there was a brief second where I was like, well, Jeremy just left. Why did she play that? I went, oh shit. The math like clicked in my head. And I was like, okay, this is some fucking brilliant play by Sarah, who once again impressed me. She's really fucking good at Survivor. And yet, the execution, because the ideal scenario here is you go 3-3-3, the execution failed, although, to give them some credit, it failed in a beneficial way to a degree, because they got an extra vote from Tyson for Tyson that I don't know that they were counting on. Michele did vote for Tyson.
Yeah.
And so that was, you know, was that just because there was a scramble in the moment and Michele was like, oh shit, I don't know, it might be me, I'm going to vote Tyson? But then again, how does she know it's Tyson? So was she clued into that? That's the sort of thing that you miss out on with the insane whispering live tribal thing. Like,
and we're going to get into that, but like, I think a lot of like where you thought of, especially like last night when people were breaking it down and frankly, after people figured out that Michele was indeed the person who voted, because that's not something people realize until like extra videos are put out there. And a quick note on that. It's not like there's some grand conspiracy of the show trying to keep you in the dark. They used to show votes when they gave people's final words. There are no more final words, so there isn't the spot in the episode to show votes. That's why. Mystery solved.
Yeah. Way to get to the bottom of that one, Sherlock.
But yeah, why Michele did what she did. Did she know? Was she in it all the time? Is she a secret agent? Like, for one, like, again, I don't know, but the simpler answer, I think, would be they were not counting on Michele's vote. They should not have counted on Michele's vote. If they were counting on Michele's vote, you don't steal a vote. You don't need it. You stole one. Her name is Michele. You don't need another one at that point. The very act of Sarah playing the steal a vote tells me that, you know, wherever Michele's vote was in doubt on some level.
So I would say, like, the Occam's razor thing here would be that Michele had heard through somebody, who knows, Nick or whoever it might have been. Nick would probably be my guess from the other side. But maybe she'd heard Tyson as a potential name from that side. And whether it was for self-preservation or just knowing that she was outnumbered and hoping that she could be like, hey, look, guys, I voted with you. Who knows what it might have been. She was like, shit, plan B, I'm voting Tyson. If she was ever with the Kim's group to begin with, which we can't be entirely sure of.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple things there. Going into this tribal council, not knowing that there's a steal a vote in play, I would not be surprised if Michele has no idea that, like, a potential idol is in play, or that Jeremy could peace out on the scenario was in play. That one, actually, I think she might be more likely to know, because I think her connection to this group is Jeremy.
Yeah.
Right? But, with all that, what she might know is this is a 5-5 scenario. Is it good for her to be like, yep, going to rocks? Like, no, it's not. So I would not be surprised. And again, this is the sort of thing you miss out on when they're showing people, experiencing a once in a franchise moment. I bet when the sides were, drawing the battle lines and all that, it only makes sense that, like, Sophie's side would be like, should we try to not go to rocks? Should we talk to somebody? In which case, yeah, Michele would be a likely scenario. You have the Nick connection. She is, her connection to that other group is fairly tenuous. It was largely based on, I'm not one of those people, so I'm on the outs. Like, it would not be surprised me at some point they were like, we're thinking about going after Tyson. What do you think? In fact, it makes more sense that they didn't go to her. We're thinking of voting out Jeremy.
Right, exactly, because if they wanted her on their side, Tyson is the name to drop.
Yeah, she has no connection to Tyson. They have not been tribe mates other than, once he came back into the game. But no other point before that. So again, I don't know. I'm sure we'll find out one day, at least some version of the truth, whether it's the true truth or, somebody's
manufactured version of it.
Yeah. But we'll find out. But my guess is, at some point in camp, she was in discussions and she was deciding. When she decided that she wasn't going to go down with the ship, I don't know. It could have been like right away that like, hey, I ain't going to rocks for these people, which bully for you.
Yes.
You shouldn't. I would say, probably the best play, and again, this would be something to discuss with Jeremy, would be tie it with the first vote and see what happens. Because if we win like an idol situation or something, then we win. On a revote, yeah, I mean, I'm flipping too. If it's not me, let's go.
Even then, on a revote, there's still some, if someone from the other side flips and you flipped, shit, you're hitting rocks. So
yeah, but I think that's less of an issue in this era. People will just talk about it, right? Like, when, they went to rocks and Millennials versus Gen X, people didn't get up and whisper. So, I feel like you could be pretty sure. It's like, yeah, I'm going to vote with you guys. Is that cool? Cool. All right, let's go. So yeah, that'd be one. Or yeah, again, if she just decided, no, I'll vote with them. They're targeting you guys. I have many other cards to play. That would make sense. Another thing that would make sense to me is if once Jeremy left, she's like, yeah, I'm out. I'm going to go with Tyson. Hopefully that's the way it is. Even if it's not going to damage me.
Yeah, hopefully it's not me. Like, I totally respect it as her taking an act of self-preservation. If she was at least hoping, shit, I'm going to throw a vote on Tyson because I'd heard Tyson's name. And if that gets him one extra vote that keeps it away from me, great. I hesitate to give her too much respect because she looked a little in the dark there, but at the same time, like, good on her. Here's
the thing. Her being in the dark doesn't preclude it from being a good move.
Exactly.
What I'm just suggesting is it feels unlikely to me that she was an integral part of their vote split plans, because if she were, you don't use the steal a vote right now, unless it's just a case of Sarah playing it because everybody knows she has it and doesn't want the heat to carry over an episode. And B, you include her when you're like, hey, everybody, let's go talk about this. Which they did not. They pointedly did not. So that tells me that, maybe, yeah, absolutely. They talked to her. Maybe there was an idea. Who knows? Maybe Michelle's on her side, but they were not counting on it. And if that's the case, that gets to the next part. They had to have screwed up because otherwise, why do 4-2? Yeah, again, if she hadn't, it could have been 4-3 and an idol, screws you up. And I know a lot of people were like, well, if the idol was played for Tyson, then Sophie just would have played her idol. Not if she, and again, only if she believes it's a 4-2. If they believe it's a 3-3 and somebody just screwed it up, then maybe she doesn't because she thinks she's covered. All of it points to most likely scenario is their plan was a 3-3-3. Michele obviously makes it that it wouldn't be 3, but that's like luck or at least an unsure variable that you shouldn't play for. That's a bonus. Yeah. If that happens, great. But we're not planning for that. The other part is, I think somebody just messed up. And what's weird is that, like, Sarah complicated it by not just putting 2 votes on the same person.
Right. Yeah, that was odd because the easiest way to do it would be like Sarah saying, okay, I'm going to put 2 on this person. Sophie, you vote with me on this person. The other 3 of you, you're voting this person. Like, that's...
Like, frankly, if your weird idea is 4-2-2, whatever, it's still easier for her to be the 2.
Exactly. To just say, I will put 2 votes on this person. That's it. The other interesting wrinkle here, we've praised Michele, we've praised Sarah. Kim, are we praising Kim's play here?
No.
Did she screw up that idol?
Yeah.
Yeah, she did.
Now, in the moment, I think I was with her on the, I mean, if this was her thinking, I don't know. It's a good bet that it's not you. And the reason why is she knows that Sophie knows that she has an idol. So unless they're going to go for a really ballsy, like, double bluff, they're probably not voting for you. It's just like there's other options. You don't need to be like, that's it. Either it's her or we lose, or, that's where our vote split is going. Because I know you're like, if they did the 3-3-3 right, it wouldn't matter. But it's like, we don't know that somebody else doesn't have an idol. Like, Jeremy kind of did, right? So if you already know that one, it's unlikely there's 3. If there's 3, you're just fucked. But it's like plan for 2 and just keep Kim out of it. The other thing is, like, once they play it for Denise, like, that was the other reason why I'm like, maybe you steal Denise's vote as a bluff to draw, Kim to think that you're voting for Denise, which frankly might have been what they were doing.
Yep.
Right? That might have been what Sarah was doing in the first place. In fact, especially because I feel like she's been there. Like, she played a vote steal before, right?
Yes.
And she stole the vote of the person she voted for.
I believe so, yes.
Yes, I believe she stole Michaela's vote, if I'm correct. So yeah, maybe then she really is. It's like, they know this is what I do, so blah, blah, blah. So yeah, it's like, but moreover, once it's, again, if the other side actually does what the numbers suggest they should do, 3-3-3, the only protection from that idol is either, it's probably not you, but protect yourself anyway, or if you're feeling really confident it's not you, you can't protect your alliance anymore.
You roll it over. Yeah. And I mean, safest move, it's kind of like the Jeremy thing, which we'll get to in a second, but like, at all times, and this applies to Michele too, protect yourself. Like, you're not going to make any big moves later if you're not still in the game. So probably in that scenario, if I'm Kim, I still play it on myself just because, you know what, live to fight another day. Maybe you find another idol. Things can change a lot in 3 days, whatever it might be. But I mean, as you said, if you're feeling really confident, and I don't know that I would feel that confident, but if you were, you could just roll it over and be like, you know what? We're taking the L here. I know it's probably not going to be me. At least this will let me fight another day. Like, I'll get to use this. I'll still have something in my arsenal for later on in the game.
And that she screwed that up just kind of goes back to my old point of why, 5 votes. I think just somebody screwed up. There's like, it's an arena in an area where you're going to screw up. Because I think she was thinking that this is like a 5. Well, she went in thinking this is a 5-5 scenario, and they're probably not going to vote for me. So it was really just about trying to get the sense of it, right? Mm-hmm. And I think she also did the thing where she's looking at people and judging what their level of nervousness that she was playing, and blah, blah, blah. So I think she already had that. And then once Jeremy takes off, and that's like, whoa, which was, supposed to be like the last minute. And then a vote is stolen, and now the numbers are different. And then they're all like conversing, planning. Like, again, it makes sense to me that like within all of that, she didn't stop you like, oh yeah, it won't matter who I save because one of mine will be going home. So yeah, again, it's a tough situation.
I think in that moment, the easiest explanation is that she didn't do the quick math in her head to realize like, oh shit, at this point, the idol is very unlikely to save my alliance in any way.
Yeah.
So yeah, slight misplay on that idol for her. Results aside, just not a great look for Kim this week. Too bad. I appreciate the effort, but nah.
Yeah, like playing it for an alliance member before the numbers shifted, I think was that was a smart play.
Sure.
For the reasons I stated.
You take the
that
shot.
It's unlikely to be you. This is your chance. And, as she stated too, if I go to the edge, whatever, I need to do something to change the dynamics of this game so they favor me. But it's just like, there was no winning by the time that she broke up. Except that, again, if she had played for Tyson and Sophie doesn't turn around her idol, it would have actually worked. Actually, it wouldn't have worked.
It would have tied to too, yeah.
It's a tie
yeah.
too. You're right. But again, in her mind, there's also the Michele flipping variable that she shouldn't have taken it into account. So, but again, none of that. It should have just been 3-3-3-3. It was what everybody, if you had factored in all of the different things, what it should have been planning for. In which case, it's either yourself or nobody else.
Right.
But,
and so let's move on to a much easier judgment call here. Jeremy, who I don't even know if it's worth asking, he made the right decision, right?
I mean, it's worth asking because people are talking about it, but fuck yeah.
Yes.
Mission 1, save yourself.
Yeah.
And very much was a target. If you want to say maybe it was Tyson versus him, he was a target. We saw them have to change some level of plan to account for his leaving. And I know some people are like, this is going to really piss people off. To which I say, tough.
Yes.
He alive, they not.
Right. And so that's the main issue, is that if you're concerned that you might get voted out, like there's a better than 0 chance you're getting voted out. Fuck it, man. Just play it. Like, don't leave. It's like don't leave with an idol in your pocket. Same thing. Like, this is something that can protect you. Yes, it hurts your alliance. Yes, you will have to do some repairing of that alliance or shifting to another alliance. Both of those things are fine. Both of those things are things
the alliance wasn't particularly useful.
Yeah, and Jeremy is the type of person that could do that kind of repair. That is a skill that he possesses. So fuck yes, get gone, get yourself safe, and play again in 3 days when you go to the next vote.
Now, I do think there's a wrinkle of complication to this as well, is that had Jeremy stayed and Sarah doesn't play her vote steal, which she would have. We know that she would have, so then he would have just left after that. But he did make the decision first. So the information he's operating under when he says Jeff is that he's taken off before he even knows that Sarah is also going to be saying Jeff at that moment. So then it's like, then his alliance they could have won the day. Maybe Kim plays the idol for him and everybody's voting for him. There's no vote split because there isn't enough votes, even with Sarah stealing one. To which I say, if that's what his alliance was counting on, because he did the nice thing. He told them that this is a possibility. He told Tyson that I have this thing and I could leave. If they're like, no, we need your vote, then maybe I'll play an idol for you at Tribal Council isn't good enough. What they need to do then is Kim needs to hand him her idol before they leave and say, we need you to stay. So you're immune. That's it. And if you need his vote that badly, you need to give him immunity. And they did. So he had immunity. He left.
Right, exactly. Take the immunity that's in hand. Don't wait for one that is not necessarily yours. So of course, because Jeremy leaves, we fucking lost Tyson for the second time this season. Obviously, as a big Tyson fan, this hurts again. But at the same time, just like with the Sandra vote, like, this is how we should lose a legend. Like, there should be these insane machinations and advantages and trickery and like scheming. This is how I want to see good players go down. Like, with some complex moves, some shifting strategies, some changing alliances, some backstabbing. That's what I'm here for. So it sucks to lose Tyson, but this is the way I'd want to if I got to choose.
Yeah, he wasn't boxed in. This wasn't a scenario where, like, a lot of the pre-merge felt. He never had a chance. It's, a reputation. He had every chance. The other side won. They had a better plan and the tools to do it. So yeah, good play on the others. It's a little sucky that, like, the other side has more of the people I'm less interested in. But honestly, it's not that big an imbalance, right? It's basically, I'm not interested in Ben or Nick.
Yeah.
But I'm also not interested in Michele. So,
It's close.
It's close,
Yeah.
you know? And Ben is like, this season has been pretty good, interesting.
He's been fine.
Yeah. I still don't want him to win.
No.
But
He's at least been more entertaining than I ever found him in his first season.
yeah, no, I have no issues with him. I just also have my favorites, and he's not on that list. So yeah, no, kind of the same. And then I guess it's like, I already saw this movie of Tyson going, it's like,
Right.
It's hard to mourn again. Frankly, it's also hard to mourn when it's like, he's now the odds-on favorite to come back one more time, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's proven that he can do it. It was really close last time, but I mean, experience matters, and he's got experience doing it. So,
and he's had 2 feasts since then too,
Exactly.
right? So that helps. An interesting note that I saw on Twitter is like he's the first person, Edge of Extinction returnee to ever be voted out of Survivor. I mean, obviously it's not a long list, but it's kind of funny that like neither Rick Devens nor Chris Underwood were voted out ever. So
good point.
Funny.
What I saw on Twitter was someone having the argument that they wanted a confessional from Michele saying how she'd gotten closer to Nick than Jeremy prior to the vote, so that we knew why Michele was moving her vote that way. And it just awakened an anger in me, because this shit happens every season. And I just responded like, do you think they script confessionals? What if Michele never said that? They don't have that footage. They can't craft it out of fucking thin air. They use what they have. If Michele said that, maybe they show it to you. But here's a crazy possibility. Maybe Michele didn't say that shit, so she can't tell you that she's gotten closer to Nick and that she knew about the Tyson vote. Like, or that would ruin the surprise of the vote. The trivial complaints about, like, I want the story to tell me X, Y, and Z. Like, that's all fine if this is a scripted TV show. But at a certain point, you have to recognize they have the footage they have, and they tell the story after the fact. They can't then go back and record footage that would make their story easier to tell. So they have to work with what they have. And so the fucking complaints about this minutia of, oh no, I don't know where person X's head is at this exact moment. Well, you know what? Maybe they didn't on the island at the time either.
Yeah, in fact, it's the maybe that would just be the big thing, because it's often with such certainty that the Survivor producers are keeping it from me. They don't know how to do their job. It's like, did you consider, just maybe, that like what you want didn't happen? That, yeah, this actually was like a lot of on the fly decision making. I don't know if it was. That's why I will sometimes speak in maybe it's me, an asshole who loves to speak in absolutes. But it's like, we don't know. It's possible. And the one thing I'll say is like, you know, the contestants themselves have been talking about how crazy and fluid everything is. Like, that's what led up. Well, for one, the first thing that kind of led up Tribal Council was almost instant whispering, which kind of tells me that there was a lot in flux, even once Tribal Council got there underway. But when Jeremy was talking, it's like, this is even crazier than Cambodia. So it's like, it's possible that what we're witnessing is just a really fluid game.
Yeah. I don't think Jeremy's lying to us.
Yeah. I mean, he could be. Tribal Council is his place for lying, but I think people need to prepare themselves for a lot of, you know, rapid changing of direction for players, for strategies, for storylines. Yeah, I mean, that's supposed to be one of the joys of unscripted television, that things happen that we can't count on. Because what happens also when people complain is that the counter complaint, often by the same people, is that things are too obvious. Like, oh my God, obvious winner Tommy. Like, so that actually just makes me chuckle that we actually had complaint that we were spoiling Survivor. Like, oh, the show's good, but they're spoiled 2 years in a row. We didn't literally know that Tommy was winning. We just knew.
The show
right?
was telling you whether you wanted to hear it or not.
Yeah, and I think it was the same the season before. I can't remember what or who it was. So yeah, we probably said something like, Tommy's winning. We didn't actually know. We do not truck in spoilers here. But yeah, it's like either that, it's so predictable, or damn you didn't give me what I needed to predict it. And it's like, I mean, again, it's not that there isn't room for criticism. This season has a lot of plates to spin, and absolutely there are going to be things lost. I mean, yeah, absolutely. If you give 20 minutes to family members, then we're going to lose stuff. More than that, I mean, there's a whole other island of players who would be traditionally gone for the game are not. We're going to lose stuff. I think another thing happening this season is they want to tell most everybody's story. That is unusual for Survivor season.
There's actually...
Usually they want to tell like 5 people's stories, maybe.
And if that, there's a whole interesting cast here that people and fans care about and that give good TV. So, you know, maybe Michele did give some confessional that told us where her mind was at that time, but maybe there was a funnier scene or a more interesting or emotional or something else scene that made for better television than that. Like, there is a finite resource of televised minutes, and they have to allot that resource as they see fit. I'm willing to give them some credit after doing this for 20 years that they're at least pretty good at doing that.
The weirder complaints for me, and like I don't like live comment at all because what's the point? I'm watching not even like 2 hours later do time zones, but like recorded later. Is like people will be like, the edit hasn't told me who this is going to be. It's like, wait a fucking minute. Like they're about to reveal it. Calm the fuck down. You'll find out pretty soon who it's going to be. Do you you must be the kind of people who like open their presents before Christmas or something. Like, and then it's the other thing. It's because they edit everything for a surprise. Well, welcome to this show called Survivor. Like this is not a new modern problem. This is the fundamental structure that this show has followed since the beginning.
For 2 decades.
Yes, the primary driver of Survivor storytelling and really competitive reality television storytelling is who is going to go home this week. We will reveal at the last possible moment. That's what drives these things. It's not a new thing. So no, they're not going to tell you before it happens. Yes, they are going to do things to obfuscate and obscure and come up with red herrings so that it is some level of surprise because they want you to hang around till that last minute. They're selling ad time the entire episode. And it's not a new thing. It's not that Survivor editors have suddenly forgotten to do their job. That's the job. That's the way it's always been.
But
so and maybe if it feels like it's like trickier in modern days, it's because it used to be painfully obvious in old days. You could tell who was going home next episode before it happened in some seasons. So, but that's how reality TV works. Is we want you to find out who is going home, and then we want water cooler moments, like especially now when very few the metrics of ratings are low across the board. It's what shows drive people to watch live, and the answer one is sports, not now. The other is televised moments that you have to be there for, and that's the end of the episode. So it's not a modern thing. So those complaints always just throw me for a loop. It's like, it's not new.
Right. Yeah, that's not new. Hey, you know what fucking is new, though? Tony winning a challenge. Your boy Tony won an individual immunity challenge. I lost my damn mind. What about you?
I was so happy and so worried, right?
Yes.
Because that last letter, like he didn't seem to stack his letters like everybody else did. And that last one was so far away. I felt like a proud dad.
Same here. I mean, just when it was wobbling and he's reaching back wildly trying to grab that last letter, I'm like, oh shit, it's going to fall apart. Because this just doesn't seem like Tony's type of challenge. And even at the end, they hung a lantern on it by Tony saying like, hey, I want a challenge about patience. Like, that's fucking wild.
And like Ben was right on his heels. Oh no, really exciting stuff.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. And we should dedicate a lot of time to it because you and I specialize in the challenge.
Oh, we love some challenge talk. It was awesome to see because I know, obviously we love Tony and Cagayan. He was never an immunity threat in Cagayan. I mean, he almost missed going to Final Tribal Council because he lost that last immunity and lucked out in having Wu take him. So to see him actually win immunity on his own, it was nice. It's the same sort of thing like with Sandra. She's not good at immunity challenges, but if she suddenly won one, or Cochran when he actually did win one, it's like, hey, look at the underdog winning. That's amazing. And it's so weird to think of Tony as an underdog, but he was.
Well, I mean, it was nice when Sandra just moved on to the next level of a challenge.
Yes.
Once. But yeah, and I mean, one note, and Tony would tell you himself, I believe he told us himself, he did fine in challenges. It's just that every challenge in the Brains, Brawn, Beauty season seemed to end in a puzzle, in which case, he was effed. So this time, the puzzling portion was pretty easy. It was spelling. So yeah, that helped. But still, I wouldn't have, hold steady and take it slow and easy. I would not have handicapped Tony heavily on that challenge.
Exactly. He would not be the odds-on favorite. Instead, let's talk about these sorts of things that we do expect out of Tony. The scheming, the plotting, the machinations, who is guiding the strategy and leading the strategy. And he was having, a lot of talks. Jeremy, Sarah, Jeremy, Nick, Ben, a whole lot of moving around. What do you make of Tony's crazy scrambling at this point?
Yeah, so my interpretation of the first conversations, which was one-on-ones with Jeremy and one-on-one with Sarah, is both times they were breaking the pact of let's go after the hyenas, right? I think that might have explained his pushback. Jeremy's like, we got to split up Sophie and Sarah. It's like, well, they're with us. Why are we doing that? We still have others, Nick and Michele here. And then, Sarah, the same deal. Let's take out, who was Sarah was going after? Was it Tyson? I think it was Tyson,
sure.
Right?
I don't even remember.
Again, he was resistant.
No, it was Kim.
The craziest. It was Kim. You're right. Yep, that's it. And again, it was like, why are we talking about this? It's not time yet. And I also love, hey, calm down. We got time. Who is this man?
A, that's insane. B, I think I just realized something. Last week, obviously, there's a whole lot of talk about the lions and the hyenas thing. And this week, he sided with Nick and Sophie. And I lumped Sophie in there because I got the impression that Tony did not think of her as a lion. But then ended up going against Tyson and Kim, after telling Sarah that they shouldn't be voting for Kim and wait and blah, blah, blah. And this is just crazy off the top of my head. It's coming to me now. Remember how Tony played in Cagayan, right? He would attack his own people when necessary and then immediately flip back. Always with the idea that he had to keep enough threats in line or in the game that his people had to align with him or risk being swallowed up by those threats, right?
Yes.
Just spitballing here. Holy shit, what if that's what's happening right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely possible, right? I was saying last week that I don't think this lions versus hyena thing is going to last forever. I don't believe that was ever going to be the deal, but I do think that it's at least the chronology of what we were shown is to be trusted, and it shouldn't be. Is that he was trying to stave it off for a bit until it became obvious that the people were going after her anyway. So now it's time for him to do his plan. Why do Sarah's plan or Jeremy's plan when he can do his own? And what he was able to do by picking Jeremy as a target is what he was able to do really successfully in Cagayan, is come up with a plausible explanation for his actions, right? When he turned on LJ, he set up that scenario where it's I had to do it. LJ said he was going to go against Wu, even though he basically coerced that confession out of LJ. So I think it's kind of a similar scenario here. Jeremy's going after Sophie Sarah. Well, then we got to get rid of Jeremy. And then he could go back to a Kim or Tyson. It's I didn't want to do this, but Jeremy, he's tricky, man. He's going out and doing stuff. I'm still with us. It's us all the way. So I think he's sitting there. I think he's all right, it's time to flip-flop. I can do this now. I am calm Tony, who everybody knows is not a danger. Hell, they saw me cry in front of my kids.
Yeah. And the other thing is the fact that he told Sarah, no, let's hold off on voting Kim, and yet was still cool with voting for Kim's side. I don't know, man. I'm probably reading too much into this, and it's, obviously I do have my bias in favor of Tony because I love watching him play, but maybe he's just nah, we can't get rid of Kim. We could get rid of Tyson or Jeremy because I don't have as tight of a connection to those two. But Kim, we need to keep around because she might be instrumental in my plans later.
I mean, obviously that's possible, but I do like what he waited till other people were already starting to stir the waters, right? So now it's not Tony that's going out there being crazy and stuff. It's just, hey, that was what was happening. So I did this thing for us. It was all for us. Now, interestingly, is next week it totally looks like he's going to be, crazy
So
Tony.
yes, and that's the fun thing is next week does look like it's going to be Crazy Tony. Crazy Tony with 3 fucking fire tokens.
Yes.
And people on edge of extinction like, hey, it's time to get me some fire tokens. So they're probably going to know that Tony's got some more of them now, right? Yep. I mean, especially like if someone like Tyson finds a fire token advantage that he can sell to Tony. Hell yeah, he knows that Tony's got those tokens and he's going to be like, give me all the peanut butter. So I mean, we could see Tony armed with a bag of tricks again, and I have the biggest fucking smile on my face right now just imagining how this might play out.
No, I mean, I'm excited for it too, but like, again, I was impressed by the level of control he was able to exhibit. Maybe the proper word is self-control more specifically.
Yeah.
In the conversations, the one-on-ones, he was not flipping out. But then once it was clear that, whatever vision, whether he planned on sticking with it or not for, lions sticking together, wasn't going to happen. He found the moves that, he thought were better for him. Or, maybe him and his closest alliance. Because I think what's happening more than not, Sarah is his ride or die. I think that's obvious now if but what's awesome is it clearly isn't obvious to other people. Not if Jeremy is coming to him saying, we got to break up Sarah and Sophie because that's the danger couple. Maybe not. Maybe it really is Sarah and Tony.
Maybe. At the same time, I feel like Tony's the type that's not necessarily going to have a ride or die.
Oh, he will for as long as it benefits Tony.
Well,
I mean,
so that's
Trish was his ride or die.
So that's the thing.
And
is
then she
I
wasn't.
think he's not going to die. He's going to ride.
There you go.
So, yeah, I mean,
somebody's gonna
Sarah
die.
is his closest alliance. I would say that's pretty legit. But I do think it's looking to me like, and then again, this is probably just me being too hopeful because this is what I want to see. Hey, we're going to get to that part anyway. Here's what I want to see. I want to see Tony flip on Sarah to like do something that she didn't want. Maybe he takes out Sophie, maybe whatever, who knows what it is. I'm guessing that would be the move, is to blindside Sophie and then come back to Sarah and be like, shit, I had to do that. Like, I couldn't trust it. Now I trust you though. It's just me and you. Sophie's not in the way of us to the end, and doing that shit again. The old Tony. I can't believe we might actually see it.
That could be interesting. I worry that Sarah isn't the one to try on that one. Like, I feel like she would not be so easily duped.
I mean, the thing is, I think Sarah will probably play pretty rationally if he's got some justification for what he does. Maybe he doesn't take out Sophie. Maybe that's a little too on the nose.
That's the thing. Like, the rational play there is, I know this song.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah. Maybe next week he's going back at the hyenas thing and he's going to take out Nick or whatever, someone from his side, and be like, look, we had to take out Nick because he was going to be a hyena and scheme against us, blah, blah, blah. And then flip back to going at the Jeremy or someone like that again. Who knows? I want to see chaotic Tony. Except as we learned, chaotic Tony is kind of more of a front. It's only chaotic if you don't see what he's doing. And I want to get ahead of this game and see what he's doing, even if that's not what he's doing.
Yes, we're talking about our hopes. There is one other big discussion that we actually skipped over that I think we should get to because it's something that everybody on the internet wants to talk about. But talking about hopes, I mean, my hope now is Tony wins the season, right? Like, that's the biggest one right now. And, like, it's not out of play.
It's not.
Like, I am not going to jinx it. I'm not going to do anything like that. But it is a legitimate possibility, and I am so here for it.
So I've, like, intently and purposefully and with as much energy as I can avoided even, like, on my own, much less projecting anywhere on the internet. Like, I am trying to not look forward to the end and project who might win. I'm just trying to enjoy this season as it comes without any sort of forecasting other than what I would like to see. But I mean, if I were to consider the evidence that I've been given, shit, man, it's not like it looks bad for Tony this season from what we've seen.
No. I mean, he could go home next week.
Could.
I'm not, again, it's totally possible. But yeah, I'd say it's in play because I think he's set up himself at it to this point. Well, I think it's in play for several other people too.
Sure.
I'm also am not trying to view this as an end situation. Frankly, this whole season and maybe what will help people, like, it's not going to help people. Relax about, maybe things getting dropped out of the edit or made too much. It's like, maybe a way to look at this season. I said this in the preseason. I need some original thoughts. It's like, this is like an Infinity War type situation. They're servicing a lot of stories, a lot of characters, and the enjoyment should come from, we get to see them all together and we get pieces of it. Isn't going to be a complete story, a focused story? No, but it's this. Now, of course, some people will be like, yeah, but I hate that stuff. I didn't like Infinity War for that very reason. Then I guess you're going to be SOL. But it's like, this is this season. This season 40 is going to be a little more, diversified in the storytelling because, man, we all want to see different people. Like, people still want to see Michele, even if they're like not us. For a lot of people, Adam was a big highlight of this season, and frankly, he ended up being a big highlight for everyone, right?
He got there.
So that's what we're dealing with, and to try, enjoy that. It's like, man, we're really getting this. We're getting a world where Tony and Sophie and Sarah and maybe even Michele and all that, like, feel like they could win. Well, on top of random Edge of Extinction returnee Jeremy, like, they all feel like a shot, and like, that's fun in itself. And maybe it's only because we're not getting all the editing that people were missing out on, or complaining that they're missing out on. And if we were getting the more complete story, we'd be like, oh yeah, actually, so and so is running the game. Now, for some people, it'd be like, yeah, but I want that because I believe it's the person I'm rooting for, and I'm just not getting enough of why Sophie is obviously winning this game. It's like, but again, it's kind of fun right now that there's like stuff for most everyone, and that the biggest person that's not getting stuff is someone, I don't know. I'm sure he also has.
I think it's probably that if they're giving us a fairly accurate representation of what took place, like, there's probably shifting power dynamics. There's not necessarily someone dominating this game right now. It could be that it's a certain group. It could be that group is changing in membership from week to week. Who knows what it is? But I get the sense, and maybe this is just me believing an edit that was crafted to make me think this, I get the sense there's not necessarily a clubhouse leader at this point. Or if it is, I shouldn't say that. There's not a clubhouse favorite. There might be a leader in the moment, but that can shift from week to week.
Yeah, and like, it's not that hard a supposition to believe, if I use that word correctly. These theoretically are 20 of the best players, not top 20, but like of the best players ever. So yeah, it's going to be tough for one direction to take hold. And things will just shift. And I think sometimes people actually have problems believing that, but I think many survivors in their interviews have said, it's like, yeah, it suddenly just, the mood shifted and it was this, we cannot take the human emotion out of the decision making, which maybe is a lesson to learn from all that human emotion that was at the beginning of the episode. Now, another reason why maybe it's really hard to tell is a thing that people have been complaining about a lot. And that's the whispering at tribal council, all the live tribal actions and people getting up and talking to each other. Is this a problem? Should something be done to stop it?
No. The one complaint that I was pretty sympathetic to, though, is that, Jeremy uses his advantage and bails, and then the other side got time to discuss what they were going to do. Like, that does take some of the advantage out of Jeremy's advantage, especially because, he's waiting until the last moment before they're supposed to be going to vote, before he plays it, and he's doing that intentionally. So the fact that they could then counter strategize against that, like, that, I get it. It's fine. It's not that big of a deal, but it's at least a complaint worth considering.
Yeah, I can see the point of that it takes something crazy happened and how do we account for it out of tribal council. The thing I'll say is if Jeff Probst had said, no, Sophie, you sit your ass down, you don't get this chance that I've granted to so many other people in admittedly slightly different situations, but I bet you don't feel like that right now. Bloody murder all over Twitter. If Jeff Probst, it'd be like, if it was Rob, he'd let him do it. Like, that's what would happen. And I think that's the thing. Like, the box has been opened, and the only way to do it is if they completely close it. And this gets back to what I was saying earlier in the episode, that I believe that Survivor is more than anything dictated by the players themselves. And I think it's better if we give the players more avenues to do things. And that's what live tribals have become. It's just another way to save yourself. Does it always pay off? No. Sometimes it seems like it's just like, this was on my Survivor bucket list, so now I'm going to get up and whisper, but there's no point to it.
And sometimes you talk yourself into getting voted out.
Yeah. So then that happened, in which case, good for you. And again, good for the show. It's good that they allowed this dynamic situation to happen. Again, I think they should maybe edit it out more often if it does not affect outcomes. What's tough is that sometimes key conversations that they want to capture are happening with beyond whispering. Like last week, the whispering didn't seem to shift anything in a significant way, at least not from a storytelling perspective. But we needed it because it was happening behind Ben and Adam arguing, right? I think what the complaint that makes more sense to me, and I think it's true, is it's not as good a television product. And it's weird that the players, and this really was spotlighted last episode, that they found like this loophole. Like there's one place in the entire show where they're allowed to conspire, where cameras and audio aren't allowed to capture it. Like if you're conspiring at camp in that way, they'll say, no, hold on. Let's do it again. We need this on film. But at tribal council, when you're out in front of everybody, including a jury, suddenly they found a spot where they get to conspire without us being a part of it. So what I think is let them do it. Let them talk. Having more and more, avenues for players to try and save themselves, to try and do something is better, not worse. But they need to come up with a solution to make it better for us, the audience. They need to capture the things being said. One scenario is for this particular situation, but I understand why they didn't think of it, is when Sarah's like, let's all go there, or not Sarah, sorry. When Sophie's, let's go over there and talk, Jeff Probst does say stop, but more, okay, you guys can do it, but you're bringing a camera and a mic with you. And that's just more like they need to be able to capture it for us. So it maybe if it's everybody now at Tribal Council needs to wear lapel mics because we just recognize that this is what's happening now. I don't know. But we should be able to see some portion of what's happening in the edited final product. And we're not.
So I think probably most of them do wear lapel mics. And you can't necessarily send a camera over there because they have the cameras blocked for the set. So having a portable camera wander into the shot, not necessarily practical in that situation.
Yeah, I don't know the solution. I'm saying they need to find one because this is now a part of Survivor.
You can send them up to the old Robin Sandra chatterbox where they watch the Tribal Council.
Maybe you need more cameras in the set of where they're talking. But yeah, they need to be able to. And again, video is less of a concern. We are seeing them talk. We're not hearing them talk. And they need to be able to isolate enough audio that they could subtitle it or whatever so that we know what they're doing. Because, we know everywhere else, right? They're not allowed to talk from the time that they leave camp to the time that Jeff starts Tribal Council. Because we don't get to see that. That's why they're not allowed to talk in those moments. It's for us, the audience. Yet, now they can talk right at Tribal Council and we don't get to see it or hear it, So that's again, I'm okay with them allowing players to do it simply because I think the show is better the less intervention that it is. And, I know this because all people used to complain about is how much Jeff intervenes in things. But we need to be able to hear it.
On the intervention note here, let's get to some plugs. our website, of course, is purplerockpodcast.com. But the intervention that I'm particularly concerned with is that we've been running this 40 most influential survivors series, right? I don't know if you've noticed, but there seems to be some correlation where we happen to be talking about an influential person who is on this season. And then that same week or the following week, that person gets voted off the fucking show. And it just happened with Tyson this past week after Tyson had previously been voted out. And thus we thought, oh, well, then he's probably safe. But no, he comes back into the game. Then we put up the post about him. Then he fucking goes home. We need to stop this series because there are some important people that I feel like we need to protect.
It's really funny. Yeah, the Tyson one's the funniest because, yeah, I mean, obviously he wouldn't be safe. He was voted out, but we'd be safe. It's like, well, at least we didn't jinx Tyson, and then we got a second chance. And now, it hasn't actually been, it feels like that of late. It's been a couple of times where the person who got voted out on Wednesday is our next post Monday. Right. And that's what's so funny about it is that we're not planning them that
we're not just posting
randomly. We're going chronologically, and it just seems like every time somebody's coming up, they're going home. Now, obviously, that's because old schoolers were targeted first this season. And that's the other part. It's like if we have this jinx, oh man, the people we wanted to go, we're not even going to get to while this season is on, if indeed they make the list. So something might need to be done.
Yeah,
it's true.
I vote in favor of an intervention. I think there's a name or two that we are going to cover that we could, maybe move up in the order, see if we can put this curse to some good use in this season.
Yeah, because we're going chronologically, and we are currently on season 18. Whether we have passed it or not, you'll have to wait for our next point. But 18, and look at the number of some of the people that are the winners that are on this season, and you start to understand the panic we have of influencing, events that are already set in stone.
Yeah, I mean, let's just play it safe. Is all I'm saying. Throw some posts a little out of order. Put the curse to the test.
It is definitely an idea. I will say that the next people we have are not on this season, so we could be okay. But there is an argument for being proactive. But we will take this under consideration. Right. And yes, you can find that on our website at purplerockpodcast.com. You can find out when those posts are going live via our Twitter at purplerockpod. I'm at purplerock.andy.
I am at purplerockjohn. And of course, you subscribe to our show in all the usual places. Anything else, Andy?
Let's play some music.